running up the score. Jerry.
He just sucks.
He's not good.
let's just put it out on the table. He's not a good quarterback.
Kevin.
You know, Bennett is unique. These guys are unique. They're championship runs. I mean, this one's unique.
Let's hope some people still get thrown at and, get hit in baseball.
Keep it interesting,
right?
I can't take this guy serious right now.
I dare you to watch it and tweet us. Tell us, oh, you know what? This is a hell of a sport.
Where's this been all my life?
The New York Jets you know what they need to do with their second round pick? They need to just start taking it and lighting it up on fire.
This is Running Up the Score. And it starts now.
All right, it's time to run up the score. Running up the score with Jerry Napoleonello, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live, brought to you by Yell5 Sports app. We are live on Zeno Live and Periscope. We have a lot to get to today. This was honestly the best Sunday of football we've had in a very long time, and it started Thursday with the Rams and 49ers game. And yes, I did say the Rams and the 49ers game. We have so much to get into today, from a London Big Ben upset to a Steel City Big Ben upset. Two of the best quarterbacks, no matter how close they get to getting upset, they come back and show you how great they are. We are going to get into all of this and the Monday night game tonight. Thanks for joining us today. Got a great show ahead of us. We'll start off by saying, how was your weekend?
I had a great weekend. I was able to get away for a couple of days and just enjoy. It was beautiful out. You just can't ask for anything better.
You had the week off, so you didn't. Well, I'm saying you weren't here last week.
Yeah,
it was just.
Yeah, that's work related right there.
Yeah. So basically, last week I started off doing picks. We forgot to do it the first 2 weeks because we got so sidetracked by everything that was going on with the first 2 weeks that we never really gave picks.
Well, that's strictly just the NFL being the NFL and just being amazing. Obviously, what this show is all about is getting into the game of football and understanding what is happening throughout the season. And we can actually start off right off the bat and go through this week just alone.
Yeah.
And starts on Thursday night, like you said, with the Rams and 49ers. And this was a game that
nobody liked.
Not even that you didn't like. A lot of people didn't tune in.
But that's what I'm saying. Right before, you see scheduled on Thursday night. First of all the Thursday night games last year were horrendous.
Well, this year it's going to be a lot better. I actually looked into it a little bit. But, when it comes to this game,
well, you see the Rams and the 49ers, and you're like, okay, I don't know about it.
One, I don't care who wins.
Yeah.
Two, people said, "Oh, you got anybody on fantasy in that game tonight?" And I was like, "No," and I thought that was a good thing, but apparently it was the complete opposite. 80 points being scored in this game. Final score, I think, 41-39, and an onside kick recovery. This game had it all. And it was definitely
it was the most points scored in a Thursday night game.
It was the best game of the week by far.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I didn't tune in, and sucks. I wish I did.
I actually did. I caught the second half.
I didn't get a chance. I caught I caught it from the onside kick recovery.
Okay.
Did not see the game tying touchdown. Didn't see the 2-point attempt. But I saw the onside kick, and it was a great onside kick.
Yeah.
Left it in the air. And actually, I like what the player on the 49ers did. He kind of punched it forward because you got a bunch of Rams players coming towards the football, and now they're all away from it, and it was an easy recovery.
And you never have, a player doing something like that because it's always these guys are coming up forward. The ball usually comes backwards,
and you don't know if the ball's going 10 yards at that point. It's
and
just a little
that's
bit
the biggest thing. If by the time the player gets there, you never know if it's 10 yards or not. So you punch it forward, it's going more than 10 yards, obviously. But we have so much to get into today, and some of it is not even football related, which is we're gonna try to stick that in there as well. But there was a few things that happened this week, even off the field. Cris Carter, ex-Viking, Eagle, I forget the other teams. He's a Hall of Famer. That's all you need to know. He has this new show with Nick Wright called First Things First. There was news that came out earlier this week about Aaron Hernandez.
Of course, and he was diagnosed with CTE.
Stage 3, which I don't think they've seen stage 3 yet. It's supposed to be one of the higher stages, if not the highest stage of CTE. The problem that I have with this, and I'm going to play the comments from Cris Carter in a second, but the problem that I have with this is that people are now going to use the CTE as an excuse for Aaron Hernandez. This guy was a problem way before football. Let's not get crazy about this.
Well, it's not about making it as an excuse, but if that's what people are intending on, this is not good news for the NFL.
No.
But at the same time, this guy played football his whole career. Did CTE have an impact on his, mind and what was going through it when, committing a act like a murder?
Yeah.
And it actually is very troublesome for the NFL, because the whole idea of CTE leading to people acting the way they are acting, especially at an older age. But this is unique. And for it to be an excuse for Aaron Hernandez, I wouldn't say more of an excuse, but, is it part of the reasoning? I would have to assume so. I mean, for anyone, like we say.
I think it could have pushed the limit with the CTE. I think it could have pushed it forward. But this guy was already trouble before even college, and especially in college. We can't sit here and say that this guy wasn't a gang member when he was in college. We already knew that.
But could CTE be an impact on what these
an already
NFL
unstable mind?
What these NFL players are just thinking in their thought process on some of the acts that they've done, because it is a big problem. It is not a small problem in the NFL of players getting arrested.
No.
It is not getting smaller. It is getting bigger.
Yeah.
And it is becoming a big problem. And it is making the NFL wonder about this whole thing with CTE. Could it be a part of the reason why certain players make certain decisions in their lives? I mean, these are not rational decisions. This is legitimately like you and me. I don't know about you folks at home, but I've gone 29 great years of not committing a crime.
Yeah.
Like a felony nonetheless. And that's what a lot of these problems are of these NFL players.
The other problem is we haven't seen an NFL player, I guess CTE causing him to commit murder.
Not even just murder, but just that is a crime.
We've seen suicide. We've seen suicide. That was one of the more, I guess, prevalent, thing that we saw with people with CTE.
I think it goes beyond, life and death. I think it goes beyond just any kind of decision making when it comes towards, like, we don't have the studies on the humongous list that the NFL has of
absolutely.
Former players and current players that have been arrested for certain situations. Now, can CTE be a direct factor into that? It would be an interesting study,
absolutely,
to say the least. If you want to study the current and former players that have committed certain crimes in the within being in the NFL or before the NFL, because these kids are playing football from a young age. We talked about this many times on the show about how it's a huge problem in the NFL. It's unfortunate that the NFL is funny. They're making headlines for certain players kneeling during the national anthem. Nonetheless, this taking a back seat, and it is a big problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a huge problem the NFL is dealing with.
And this is what Cris Carter had to say on his new show with Nick Wright called First Things First.
I really am. I used to break into the stadium and run the stadium steps in my hometown. And now that stadium's named after me. And you know the reason why, Nick? It's not because people like me. Because there was a time that it wasn't nice to be associated with Cris Carter. But the reason why my name is on that field is because of damn football, not nothing else. It's because of football. You know the reason why my name's on this show? I ain't got no great broadcasting school. No. It's because I played football. That's the reason why. So most of the good things in my life, they come about because of football. So it's not good for me to see a young man who was trying to live out the same dream that I lived out, and for it to end like that. And for football to be some type of cause that people would have to be concerned about football players as we get older, that we might become violent, that we have a tendency to hurt other people. Man, I don't want to be painted with that brush. I don't want to be a part of that. But that's the fraternity for which I come from, and it's really hard to escape.
I think what you've done is given a lot of people insight on how hard it is for some athletes to reconcile the fact that the sport that gives so much has also taken away so much.
Yeah, it's no different than the man who's going to mine coal. He's in West Virginia. You think he got a bunch of choices? You think he can open up this door, maybe open up the paper, and let me look in the classified ads. Let me see what's available for me in West Virginia. So when I was growing up in the projects, I looked at what was available for me. How could I be successful? So I utilized my athletic ability and took that to Ohio State. They cultivated that, and I was drafted into the National Football League. And I stand here conflicted, but I can tell you, it's been the greatest experience of my life. I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't do it over any different than the way I did it, because what it taught me, and it grew me up. I started playing this game as a young boy, played this game as a young man. But the experiences of this game and the life lessons it taught me, this is what turned me into the man I am. I didn't have no father in my life. I didn't have nobody mentoring me. Football taught me to be the man I am. The reason why you guys don't worry about me being late, why you know I'm on time, is because football taught me that. The reason why I'm a gentleman, the reason why I do the things I do, football taught me that. A football coach taught me that. Most of my training in life comes from this game that I love, and it's called football. And now that we see that there's tremendous damage done to your brain while playing the game. And I can't tell you that I'm not scared for my future.
So he was pretty emotional. He had some strong words about it, but he did say that he wouldn't do it any different.
No, of course not. And, the game of football, and what Cris Carter makes a great point about, and I've actually, at my job, I actually wrote a story about a football story. And it's, part of the story shows about the different things you can learn playing the game of football. Playing a sport as a kid growing up, making friends, and then especially at excelling at these sports is even more amazing. But you learn so much about a person's character and what kind of person they can be, and there's different choices that people can make in their lives that will, base who someone is. And, Cris Carter says here that the game of football made him the man that he is. And I can't agree any more with him on that statement. That's a situation where, this is a guy that, came from nothing and used the game of football to learn every aspect of life. There's so much stuff to learn, not just on the field, but off the field, and how you present yourself, how what your character can show. So,
and he had his problems too. I mean, let's not get out of that. Like, he had his problems. I mean, that is the reason why he went to the Vikings, because Bum Phillips. I mean, just they released him from the Eagles. He went to the Vikings. The Vikings gave him another chance, and he kind of used that as, a wake-up call. Listen, I got to get myself together. And yeah, it did. I mean, football changed his life. I mean, look at everything that is going on with Cris Carter's life. Football is the reason for it. He's on TV, like he said. He's on TV. He's got all of this because of football. So he's learned so much about football through football, And I'm conflicted just as much as he is because how great of a sport this is. It is safer than it's ever been. Let's get that straight too. It's safer than it's ever been.
I will 100% agree with you on that, and I actually did notice that yesterday. Now, I've been watching the first 3 weeks of the NFL season. I have not seen one big helmet-to-helmet in the secondary hit at all.
No.
And I've actually had guys, talk about, trying to stay healthy and, saying, and going against certain rules, which are very hard to understand. And it's, guys like Larry Fitzgerald have told cornerbacks to hit me high. Because if you go after my legs and you go after my ankles and I hurt something, and even if someone tries to fine you, like the NFL does, that he pay for it. And, but you have to understand where they're coming at. These helmet-to-helmet hits had to stop, especially in the secondary. You got a guy running, looking at a football that's being thrown at him, not looking to his left, not looking to his right, and giving a hit on him. And from a defensive player's standpoint, yes, you need to hit him in order to prevent him from making a good catch and moving the chains. So I understand where it comes at. But like what you just said, this game has gotten safer. It is... the risk of injury has definitely gone down. And I love the game, too. And I've talked about it over and over with you, Jerry, about the CTE problem and how big of a problem it is for the NFL. But at the same time, I do love this game as well. And I love watching it come Sunday and Monday nights and Thursday nights. And, it's almost half the week that you get an opportunity to watch this game. And these guys that, again, have risked everything to try to become an NFL football player. And it is a privilege to be an NFL football player, to be making that kind of money, to play a game that you love. It's a privilege. It's a tough privilege to achieve. Yeah. But when you achieve it, it's the best feeling in the world. And I bet it was the best feeling in the world for somebody like Cris Carter.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. But from all of that and everything that's going on with football, we're going to get into week 3 that we just had. A few things that, we really saw over this week. I mean, we had Jacksonville beat Baltimore 44-7. Baltimore was going into this game having 10 turnovers with their defense through the first 2 games.
Well, everyone thought they were going to feast on somebody like Blake Bortles, who
Absolutely.
has been a question mark to commit turnovers. But for Jacksonville, this game was more about their defense putting their offense in good situations. And if you think about it, when they played Tennessee the week before, it was the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, the Tennessee Titans just poured a bunch of points on this Jacksonville defense that's supposed to be so good. But if you see where the starting possessions were for the Tennessee Titans, it would almost make any Jacksonville Jaguar defensive player certainly sick, as well as their fans. This was not on the defense last week, and just like this week, Jacksonville's defense has shown up just like they did in week 1. Jacksonville's defense, in my opinion, is 100% a top 5 defense in the NFL right now.
Absolutely.
They are one of the best, and one thing you notice from it is Calais Campbell. Why the Arizona Cardinals would ever let this man go is going to be a mystery.
He's changed that defense around. I mean, his
mindset is unique. And this is one thing that even the Jets loved with their Adams pick first, in the first round, was how much he loves the game. Yeah. And you see it with Calais Campbell. I don't know if you saw NFL, what is it? Not live, but Inside the NFL. Yeah. And they showed it. And you see Calais Campbell just at one point look at the camera and say, I love this game. Yeah. I love football. He loves being out there. He's all about it, and that's a player you need on your team. Why Arizona would ever?
He's a cornerstone to that team. He's basically, for a young defense and a young team that the Jacksonville Jaguars had, he's that veteran that they needed, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They have Jalen Ramsey. They have guys, all over that field that are fast.
Bouye, right?
Yeah, AJ Bouye.
Yeah, he's good.
They have the cornerstones to a very good defense.
And they have an offense that should be able to run the football, make good plays. They have plenty of receivers. Marquise Lee is a good receiver. Allen Hurns is a good receiver. They have a very complete team. This is a team
They
that
just need a quarterback.
I think Blake Bortles can manage a game. I thought he played a great game.
He did play a great game. He did.
And he played he was very efficient. Again, this was all about Baltimore not being able to get anything going on the offensive side of the football. And Jacksonville just really taking it over with their defense, and their offense was able to manage a game and get them the win. And the score might not say it, a 44-7 game, but again, was this game supposed to be 44-7? I don't think so. The fact of it being played in London, and they had talked about it so much about how Jacksonville. There's a lot that goes into going.
See, I would have thought it. I was what I said last week. I thought that the London portion of this game, I think, was going to be against Jacksonville. And I was wrong. I felt like.
What was your determination on that?
Just that, they were going to have to, and I know Jacksonville has a good defense, but they have a young defense. So I was going to say, I basically said Baltimore, the first 2 games on defense were all over the place. 10 turnovers. They needed, and they have the veteran presence, obviously, Terrell Suggs, Eric Weddle, guys like that I felt like going to London, having the veterans that they have, having the defense that they have, I felt like that was going to push the needle more so on the Ravens side than it would on Jacksonville's side. I was wrong. Joe Flacco has not played well, did not play well at all. I think he's just showing that he's not an upper echelon quarterback, as we know that. I've said this a lot lately. But, moving on to another game that there was a questionable call, and I think it was the wrong call. The Von Miller fake, pick-up Tyrod Taylor thing, whatever he did.
I thought that was the most funniest thing I've seen on the football
I thought it was
field
hilarious
in a
too.
long time. And what's funny? I'm not the only one that thought it was funny. You know who else thought it was funny?
Tyrod Taylor.
He thought it was hysterical.
I know.
And they're both talking about it. They're both laughing with each other. And you have a ref in the middle throwing the penalty. No, between you and me, this was the worst call I've seen this season so far by
Absolutely.
a referee. That was really bad. It's a joking matter. Von Miller, clearly this, listen, it's your opponent. You're not going to help them up. I mean, come on. This is why that guy has 10 other guys on the field with him for someone to help him up. It's not, clearly he shouldn't be looking for an opponent to help him up.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was one of the funniest things you'll see. A terrible call. It really cost Denver in this game. But, I mean, you got to give it to Buffalo. Buffalo played good. Their defense has shown up every single week so far.
Yeah.
Everyone talked about this defense being lacking and how the Buffaloes are trying to tank. The Buffalo still has a very good defense. It's their offensive side of the ball that's giving them troubles. But right now, this is a 2-1 Buffalo team that's right there with the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and, when it comes down to it, Von Miller, he owned up to it. At the in the press conference, he owned up to it. Says he costed the Denver Broncos a win there. It was a crucial point in the game, but in his defense, it shouldn't have happened. But going on to another team that just did not play well, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now my thing is, all right, we basically didn't want to talk about all this protesting and everything. But my question is, did this whole protest thing distract the Steelers?
Not at all, because they weren't the only team that did this. I think what the Pittsburgh Steelers did in this game was basically played down to their opponent.
Yeah.
And I also don't think that the Chicago Bears have been bad at all so far, because their 2 games at home, they took on the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Atlanta Falcons, and neither team scored more than 17 points.
Yeah.
So for this team, they're playing very good defense at home.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's a much better defense than what they had on the field last year. And it just shows what 1 year could do. In Chicago, all the credit to you. 23-17, good win. And, again, just trying to compete any way they possibly can.
And Mike Tomlin's teams have had a history of playing down to their competition and losing trap games. There's a long list of them. You can go through them.
I bet.
One of the games was losing to a 1-8 Jets team a few years ago. The Saints beat the Carolina Panthers 34-13. Can we stop talking about Cam Newton being a great quarterback. Because to me, I don't think he ever was. He had a great year, but is this the Cam Newton that is, I guess you can say, the real Cam Newton? Or is he just playing bad? Like, what is it? I don't understand. He's had more bad seasons than he's had good seasons.
Again, this goes back to what I've always said about offensive line and defensive line. Now, the year Cam Newton won it all, was just doing everything possible. Everyone said, oh, well, Cam Newton's doing it all by himself. He's got no help on this team.
Their defense was unbelievable.
No, they really weren't. Those years.
When they went to the Super Bowl?
No, in the beginning of the season, the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
When it was because this guy was having monster seasons. We're talking, he was rushing for 600 yards, throwing for another 15, to 2,000, throwing up plenty of touchdowns, rushing, and this guy was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and he had a great offensive line. He had Steve Smith.
He had a run game, too.
He had a run game with Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams. He had a lot that went into it. The defense was awful in the beginning, and they thought it was, they won games that were nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, the Saints would put up 34, and he'd have 35. Now he's got 13 against a Saints defense that is not intimidating at all, has not shown any signs of stopping anybody in this league. So is it a problem right now for the Carolina Panthers? It certainly is. They're going to have to figure out a way to figure out what just happened, because that is a defense that Cam Newton should be lighting up, and he wasn't able to.
Yeah. Tampa Bay, Minnesota. Case Keenum has had Tampa Bay's number. He's 3-0 with the LA. Well, at the time they were the St. Louis Rams, and with who was he with before? The Houston Texans. So he had 2 good wins against Tampa Bay. Then comes into this game, and he looked like Joe Montana.
What I take from this game, and the difference in this game, was the Minnesota defense at home. Now, a lot of people were mystified by this. A lot of people thought Tampa Bay would be able to go in and Case Keenum would struggle, which he did not. I will not take any of the blame away from him. He was a big reason why they won this game. But the Minnesota defense and what they did to Tampa Bay in that first half was embarrassing. Now, I've watched this Minnesota defense at home against Aaron Rodgers multiple times.
Yeah.
Shut him down, which is not an easy thing to do. It has never been. I mean, maybe this year might be a different Packers team that's not showing too much confidence, but the last couple of years before that, I've seen a guy that can legitimately stop any of the best offenses you can even imagine.
Yeah.
I had Minnesota defense starting in a lot of leagues. People didn't understand that because Tampa Bay's, high-powered offense, but you couldn't get any higher and powered than, Aaron Rodgers was and that Green Bay Packers team for the last 3 or 4 years, and Minnesota's just shown ways to be able to stop them. So this was not surprising to me. Minnesota winning this game. If Minnesota would have won this game 20-17, it would not have been surprising. The only thing surprising was the 34 points, like you said, with Case Keenum and a great effort. We move on. We're not going to really talk much into this. This game was a disgrace. The Cleveland Indians. I wish. The Cleveland Browns and the Indianapolis Colts, 31-28 Indianapolis. Brissett looked very great in this game. Cleveland's defense did not. They have not looked good in any of their games so far. They're giving up points to everybody. 2 young quarterbacks. The big win for Indianapolis, if they want to have any shot at taking a fight into this AFC West, AFC South, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the AFC South. With Andrew Luck potentially coming back week 6, week 7.
Yeah, Jets beat the Miami Dolphins 20-6 to kill some of their advantage towards Darnold, which we did see in the USC game.
Yeah, throw another interception.
Well, yeah, he does throw a lot.
Oh, he's throwing a lot of interceptions. And
did you see the fan wearing with the Darnold Jets jersey?
Oh, I can imagine.
There was a fan draping over a Darnold Jets jersey, number 14.
Well, right now, the situation
he doesn't look good, though.
He does not look good. And that's the thing that I actually wanted to get into a little bit, was the fact that he has not looked good. And
you know what quarterback I do like, though? Which I don't see him going top 5 of the quarterbacks, but Mason Rudolph. Oklahoma State. I've liked everything that I saw from him the last 4 weeks or so, and I think he's going to move up draft stock. To be honest with you, but obviously. Sam Rosen, Josh Rosen, and Sam Darnold.
And Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, too.
Out of Wyoming. There's a lot of quarterback options for the New York Jets come this draft. This is not a draft necessarily where you're going to need to go after Sam Darnold at number one, and he's proving it. I mean, last year, going into the beginning of the season of the college football year, Deshaun Watson looked like the unanimous, no doubter, everybody was going to lose to try to get Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson went 20th overall, or beyond the 20th.
But he's
pick.
showing.
Oh no, he's showing
that he should have gone.
Absolutely, and we'll get right back into that game in 2 seconds. But it just shows that right now the situation is these guys have this huge draft stock, and it can drop, it can rise as the season progresses. Right now with Sam Darnold and the amount of interceptions and the amount of close games that USC's had with a stellar quarterback and a more than stellar defense, and arguably one of the best offensive lines in football, Sam Darnold needs to show me more. So
and when it comes down to it, I feel like the NFL and teams and fans and everybody puts all their eggs in the combine. And it's just not something that you should do. I mean, look at Deshaun Watson. I mean, he beat Alabama in the national championship game. And then goes into the combine, and then that's where his draft stock goes down. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. The guy goes 20th or whatever he did, and he's showing that he's better than the other guys.
Absolutely.
So to me, it's just, you just use your eye test. It's all about the eye test. Look at what you see on the field against competition. Not in shorts, not in a tank top with a broom getting hit with a broom. Just look at what you're seeing on the field. Deshaun against the New England Patriots this week. He got into a battle with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, and he almost won it. If it wasn't for Tom Brady being Tom Brady.
Well, I mean, if it weren't for that Houston safety, I mean, I don't even know what he's doing. That ball was in the air for a half hour. It seemed like how you didn't get over and make a play on that is mind-boggling to me. I mean, great win for New England, a big win for New England. Sucked because I didn't even take New England, and I wanted them to lose for a suicide pick, but it's a great win by Tom Brady and a great throw at the end of the game. This Atlanta-Detroit game, this was pretty crazy.
Interesting.
There actually were some riots because of it. It was pretty crazy how that game ended. That clearly looked like a touchdown.
When you look back at it, he was a yard short. But to me, just the whole fact of, if they don't call it a touchdown, I think they have a chance to spike the ball.
Yeah.
But, because of that, they have to review it. He didn't make it in. 10-second runoff off of that because they don't have a timeout.
See, that shouldn't be on the Detroit Lions to be punished for that kind of situation.
Well, that's an official timeout.
Yeah.
To me, that's not on Detroit.
Yeah.
That's an official timeout. That's a ref's timeout.
You called a touchdown.
Exactly.
So right now, the best thing that can happen for Atlanta is you calling it back. Not calling it back and then also dropping off 10 seconds, especially like you said, it's an official timeout. You called a touchdown on the field. If you didn't think it was a touchdown, then they understand.
Exactly.
And they don't have a timeout to challenge.
No.
So it's just a tricky thing the NFL is going to have to work on at the end of games. Again, either way, a great game for both teams. Both teams came out, scored. Atlanta, great win on the road.
Now, this is these two games I really wanted to get into because, I picked Tennessee to win this game, first of all, against Seattle. Seattle's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Seattle's in a lot of trouble. Their offensive line is a disgrace. Their
defense is not even I guess their defense isn't as good as it was.
Yeah, but they were winning the field position battle all day. Seattle had a hard time getting first downs. I mean, they just can't run.
They couldn't stop the
throw. And when you can't run, if you can't run in this league,
it throws off everything.
And the only way you can't run the football, and don't tell me it's because of a running back situation, because they have 3 running backs that have proven they can do it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's that offensive line that just can't make holes for their their team right now. And it's a big problem. And if you want to talk about both these teams, the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants, because we'll go into the 27-24.
That was my next one.
Everyone wants to talk about the rookie quarterback, or the rookie kicker kicking a 61-yarder, and that's how the Giants lost. The Giants lost this game way before that.
Yeah.
They got a big 80-yard catch out of, Sterling Shepard to make this a close, give them the lead, and all the credit for not giving up. And Eli Manning did an incredible job of getting rid of the ball right away for an offensive line that just strictly can't block for anybody.
No.
They can't run. This offensive line has just been a disgrace since day one. The New York Giants and all their fans talking about if they get the first overall pick in the draft or a top 5 pick to go after the next quarterback of the future. You just put about $75 million into your defense last year, and you're going to tell me you're going to go after a quarterback of the future. No. What you do is you trade that top 5 lottery pick that any team would want, grab a couple of picks in return, and grab offensive linemen.
Or even just trade some of your defensive players that you traded for.
No, absolutely not. That defense has been stellar.
Yeah, but then it's not. They're not doing the job that they can because the offense is going 3 and out on every drive.
That's why this season is a lost season for the New York Giants.
It is.
There's no doubt about it. This season's over.
But can we talk about Odell Beckham? So before the season started, we obviously heard the flags. They were going to change some of the rules, this and that. They made the celebration rule more lenient. Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you get a flag on a celebration? Maybe because you're Odell Beckham and you're an idiot.
Well, this wasn't really a big deal. The ball was kicked to the through the uprights basically, and that was the end of it. I absolutely understand.
No, it wasn't even that. It was his little dog crawling and.
No, I know. He's just borderlining it. Honestly, he's putting on a show because this guy is going to get paid by no matter who decides to do it. He's going to get paid $20 million a year. And right now, the New York Giants, with the money they just spent on their defense, don't have the money to sign that. But every Giant fan you talk to says, we need this guy.
They don't, though.
You don't is right. What you need is an offensive line to protect Eli, build the running game, grab a good running back out of Spencer Ware will be a free agent next year. And I also think that Paul Perkins and Darkwood can also get the job done. They just need a better opportunity. This is very, very bad how bad their offensive line is. And like I said, Eddie Lacy and Thomas Rawls and CJ Prosise and now this guy Cris Carters, all 4 of them are very capable of running the football, but the Seattle can't block. So now all of these guys, turn into guys that all of a sudden can't play the game anymore? No, it doesn't work like that. Paul Perkins hasn't had an opportunity. Darkwood the same. Giants got to get an offensive line, and it starts at the draft. None of this quarterback of the future garbage.
And when we get back from the break, I want to discuss the Richard Sherman hit on Mariota. I wanted to discuss that first before we get into our picks. But, hey, Kev, doesn't it get annoying when you're watching sports? Let's say you want to send a text to your friend or tweet something about the game or check your fantasy team. Or, hey, how about you want to go to the game?
Yeah.
And even set up a tailgate party, and you have to go to all these different apps, websites, etc. to do all of that.
It's confusing at that point.
What if you could just go to one place for all of this? Well, I'm here to tell you there is a place like that, and it's called Yelphi Sports App. You can get detailed real-time scores, stats, news, rumors, fantasy news, team and player comparisons, built-in social network feature which is integrated with Twitter and Facebook.
Can't beat that.
Create private one-to-one or group chat with your friends. Buy and sell tickets, host a tailgate party, or even a pickup game. One sports app for all of your sports information. Make sure you go download Yelphi Sports App at the iTunes App Store. Yelphi, the only sports app that you need.
All Noise Radio. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Hey, this is Jerry Napoleonello, host of Running Up the Score. We are live once every week at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we hit on all the top headlines in the world of sports. You can also find us on Stitcher, iTunes, and those of you that like the visual aspect, check us out on YouTube. Running Up the Score. We run up the score on Sports Radio.
Cyberstation USA is the future of radio. Get your business into the online future at the world's largest internet radio station. From banner placement on our homepage to any of our broadcaster stages, commercials on our video player, audio spots on any of our shows, or at the beginning of any of our on-demand broadcasts. Cyberstation USA offers competitive rates with a worldwide reach. A fully integrated one-stop shop social media broadcast platform. For more information, please contact our sales department at Cameo at cyberstationusa.com.
Hey, this is Tom Gallipani, co-host of Running Up the Score. Remember to catch us every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at RUTS Sports. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube, where you will get the full Running Up the Score experience. Running Up the Score. We run up the score on Sports Radio.
Kareem Hunt gets it again. The rookie running back cuts back left. He's at the 40. He's at the 40 of the Chargers at the 30, 20, 10, 5. Good night, Chargers. It's a 69-yard run by the NFL's new phenom, rookie Kareem Hunt.
No heroes, villains, one.
Ball is spotted. The kick is away. And the kick is... It's ball!
This is that dream I talked about. They win! He's had this dream before. 61 yards! The longest kick in Eagles history.
After a 27-yard completion, White to his left from the Texan 25. Tom off the snap, drops back, he pumps, he throws it left. He's looking for Cooks in the end zone. It's caught! It's a touchdown! Patriots!
Now back to Running Up the Score. Here's Jerry and Kevin.
At least we stole the show. At least we stole the show.
All right, we have some Week 3 picks, but first...
Week 4.
Week 4. Week 4 picks, yeah. But first, call into 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. You can also follow and tweet us at RUTS Sports, as well as follow us on Instagram at RUTS Sports. Check out our website at www.rutsports.weebly.com. But first, let's get into this hit.
Yeah.
That Mariota took from Richard Sherman. And it's not even the hit. The hit was dirty. There's no doubt. I think you can agree. Definitely a dirty hit. But the one thing I took from that hit was exactly what their offensive lineman, I'm not really sure if I'm Lewin.
It's something like that.
This guy stepped up into Richard Sherman's face almost immediately after the hit. And yeah, there was a huge crowd of people and everyone's going nuts. This man got right into his face. And it's like what I said earlier in the show about what the game of football can teach you. And what you learn even as a fan watching that is like, wow, this guy really has his quarterback's back. And I mean, his face was beet red. He was extremely, extremely angry.
Yeah.
And it just shows the kind of care that a player can have for his quarterback, for his team. And the unity that you see just right there on the field just shows how united these players are as a team.
I mean, that's your quarterback. That's your main part of your team, and that guy has to be defended at all times.
Absolutely,
at all times. And I thought it was a very dirty hit. And I do understand that he wasn't even out of bounds for longer than 0.5 seconds, but I understand more so like how the defender feels. You know, it's like, what are you supposed to do? But in that aspect, Richard Sherman wasn't using that smart mind, Harvard, wherever he went, mind. The guys, you could see that he's going towards the boundary Just pull up. Pull up. And he didn't.
What Richard Sherman did there was an aggravating situation. They were, Tennessee had been moving the ball for a while in that game, really wearing out the defense. And it was just a frustration thing. But, it's just embarrassing. You just embarrass yourself with a hit like that. I've never been a fan of this guy since the second he started playing football. I mean, it's just, I can't believe this guy came out of Stanford.
Yeah, that's
what's mind-boggling to me.
It was some kind of Ivy League school, this guy.
It's crazy how you played at the University of Stanford.
Yeah.
Because you don't act like someone from Stanford.
Nope.
You really just don't. But let's go into picks for week 3. Whoa. What's this?
See?
What is this, folks?
It's time for Running Up the Score. Picks and predictions for week 4.
Got to bring it back.
Wow, that sounded
I added a little,
Damn, I sound good. I mean,
Thursday Night Football.
Boom, Green Bay playing host to the Chicago Bears. Who do you got?
Glenn will be out of the QB1 spot very soon, and the Trubisky era will commence. And this week, it could happen because Thursday night will be one of those Thursday Night Football blowouts. Green Bay will win this handily.
I agree. I mean, I'm not really sure about the quarterback situation and what they're going to do there. But Chicago's defense has shown a little work. Green Bay's shown a little struggle on the offensive side. I think they're missing a couple offensive linemen. I don't think it's that much of a blowout, but I think Green Bay just has too much talent, and they find a way to win. It's a big difference. You need Mike Daniels to play in that game and the defensive tackle for Green Bay. If he plays and they're able to stop that running game right off the bat, I think Green Bay's got a great shot to win this game handily.
New Orleans at Miami. Well, they're not really at Miami. They're in London. But after a blowout in London in week 3, week 4 will be a different story for London fans. We'll see a pretty close game. But
I think so. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game nonetheless, too.
I feel Jay Cutler will continue to be Jay Cutler, and Drew Brees will continue to be Drew Brees. That being said, New Orleans wins.
Yeah, I think Drew Brees has been with his offense a lot longer than Jay Cutler has, and I think Jay Cutler, again, I have nothing but respect for the guy. I'm a big fan of him. I've always been a fan of him. He's a very good player. But you're on an offense that you've been working with for just over
4
a month.
weeks.
Yeah, just over a month. So, and Drew Brees has been working with the same offense, same coordinator, same head coach for the last 10, 15 years, it seems like now. But, that's the reason why I give New Orleans a little edge.
Tennessee at Houston. Tennessee's coming in at 2-1, and Houston's coming in at 1-2. As good as I think Deshaun Watson is, he's still a rookie. Tennessee has a great front line, a very good defense, and 2 good running backs. I think they run the ball down Houston's throat and pick up the W in Houston.
Well, if they do, that'll be the first team to do it in a while because Houston's been able to stop the run the last couple of weeks. That front line over there is very, very good. I don't think they've played an offensive line like Tennessee. Again, I think the Tennessee offensive line is just going to be able to dominate. And, Tennessee's defense is nothing like New England's defense. I think Deshaun Watson has a tougher time this week.
Yeah.
And Tennessee gets to win.
Jacksonville at the Jets.
Jaguars, no doubt.
Jacksonville absolutely took it to the Baltimore Ravens, and as much as I want to say this game is going to be a blowout, Jacksonville is just coming back from London. So I think they'll start slow, make Jaguars and even Jets fans sweat because, they're going for Sam Darnold, but eventually pull it together in the second half and win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is just going to be too much for the New York Jets. I mean, they could stop a lot of good teams, and let's be honest, the Jets aren't a good team. So, aside from a couple of big touchdown throws against the Oakland Raiders, the Jets offense hasn't really shown much. Even against Miami, it took them forever to get sustaining drives. Jacksonville's defense just takes over this game.
Carolina at the New England Patriots. Carolina isn't as good as their 2-1 record shows. Cam Newton just isn't himself. Or is he himself? Whatever it isn't good. Brandon Cooks finally came through with New England, and I think New England wins big in this one.
Here we go. We got a first disagreement. Again, I've been talking bad about the Cam Newton situation in Carolina, but the one thing I haven't talked bad with is about their defense, and I know the Saints were able to do what they wanted, but I think the Panthers' defense is a lot better than they came out and showed at home, nonetheless, and I think they may have a tough time. I think Tom Brady has a little bit of a tough time in this game. He struggled against that Houston defense for a while in that game yesterday.
He took a lot of hits.
He did, and obviously getting to the quarterback will be a big reason why Carolina can stay in this game. I think it's a close game, and I think Carolina could somehow pull out an upset in this one.
Wow. Detroit at Minnesota. Case Keenum looks like the Vikings QB for the time being, at least until Bridgewater comes back, because who knows what the deal is with Bradford. And as good of a game Keenum had last week, it won't continue this week. He'll be back to being Case Keenum, and Detroit comes back to win after a heartbreaking loss last week.
Detroit played very, very well at home against that Atlanta defense. But Atlanta's defense has done good. They were able to stop Green Bay the week prior. So that's not a bad defense that Detroit played. Minnesota's defense at home is going to be very, very tough. I think this is a low-scoring game, but I think Detroit wins it.
Buffalo at Atlanta. Buffalo picked up a big win last week against Denver, but we have to remember that was in Buffalo, and Buffalo is a tough place to play. This one is in Atlanta, and Atlanta looks like one of the best teams in the league. No way Buffalo slows them down. Falcons win big.
Yeah, I think Atlanta wins this game decidingly. I think their defense is too good. They're going to stop Tyrod Taylor right in his tracks. There's no way Buffalo gets any sustaining offense in this game. And I think, I actually think Atlanta might have a little bit of a tough time scoring as well. But I think they pick it up in the second half, a 2-touchdown win.
Pittsburgh at Baltimore, an AFC North showdown. Both teams coming off very bad losses. This will be a very good AFC North game. Close affair, as usual, but Pittsburgh picks up the W in this one.
Well, this is a tough game for me. I think Pittsburgh's offense needs to start showing me something.
Yeah, they haven't shown anything.
Aside from Antonio Brown, this team is becoming one-dimensional. They haven't been able to run the ball with a lot of success whatsoever. Le'Veon Bell really needs to look in the mirror right now and pick it up. Yeah. And he is the cornerstone, is the reason as to why Pittsburgh will be able to start moving the ball in this league right now and become the offense that we all expect them to be.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh wins this game, but I think it's because they're able to run the football finally, and just basically because Baltimore, right now, they're having a hard time. Yeah. Their offense looked like nothing special. Okay, and Jeremy Maclin now all banged up as well. I just think there's not enough players on this Baltimore team to keep up with the Pittsburgh Stars.
Cincinnati 0-3 at Cleveland 0-3. Both teams are just very bad. Cincy should have held on against Green Bay, but didn't. Now it's just when. Now it's just when. Now it's just when, not if, Marvin Lewis gets fired. I think it has to happen. And another question, when does Andy Dalton get benched? I think Kaiser has a good game and Browns win in the dog pound.
Well, I think Cincinnati played Green Bay really well last week. I think Cincinnati had a great a great formula to try to move the ball a lot better. They utilized A.J. Green more, and the fact that they have A.J. Green, they have the three running back combo. They just have too many weapons. Cleveland's defense has looked god-awful in every game so far. I think Cincinnati wins this game handily.
St. Louis. Oh, wow. I put St. Louis. L.A. Rams, 2-1 at the Dallas Cowboys, 1-1.
The 1-2. Oh, that game didn't play yet.
So this is a big game for both teams. Depending on what happens tonight, could determine how big this one is for the Cowboys. L.A. coming off a very good game on Thursday with extra rest, as Dallas will be coming into this one on short rest. I still think Dallas pulls this one off at home.
I think so too. I think the way they kept talking about, and I didn't watch the game at all, but again, when St. Louis played the 49ers, they talked about how good Aaron Donald was, but the 49ers just put up 39 points. So
yeah,
I think Dallas's offensive line is able to protect Dak Prescott. I'm sorry, but it better start tonight. But Dak Prescott better start using his legs to pick up first downs, or they're in for a rude awakening right now, because Dak Prescott is the kind of player last year that was able to use his feet to pick up certain first downs, build that threat, and they haven't done that at all so far, and I think you can vouch for that as well, being a Cowboy fan and everything.
Yeah.
I need to start seeing that from him.
He hasn't been good at all. He hasn't been good.
Well, he needs to use his feet. The reason why he was good last season was because he was able to use his feet.
He had the triple threat. You had it. You handed it off to Ezekiel Elliott. He can make that short pass on a play action, and he can use his feet to get a first down. And he hasn't shown that yet. Last week they weren't able to run the ball at all. They ran it 9 times. Well, that was a problem. I had a problem with that. But just overall, he just hasn't been good. His throws haven't been good. He's been throwing everything high on all the wide receivers. He's been behind the wide receivers. It's just his timing is off, and it's annoying me now. But it's making it harder because they're not running the ball as well. And
Well, part of the running game is your quarterback developing.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
If Dak Prescott cleans this up, I think it's an easy win for Dallas. I think Dallas wins this game close, even if Dak doesn't have the best game. So if he has a good game, you're going to watch a nice, solid Dallas win.
Eagles at the Chargers. Carson Wentz has not slowed down. He's been exceptional these past 3 weeks. Philly almost blew it against the Giants. Rivers looked like he's never played quarterback in his life on Sunday, and I think the Eagles win in L.A.
I absolutely, it's going to be a tough game, tough environment, but the Eagles' front line on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball are going to be too much for the Chargers, who have shown no pressure, and Joey Bosa needs to pick up where he left off in his rookie year.
Giants at the Buccaneers. Giants coming in at 0-3. Giants are just not as good as people thought. This 0-3 start has put them in a hole that I don't think they'll get out of. Tampa Bay is coming off a very bad loss where Jameis Winston played very bad, and I think Tampa Bay gets it together and sends the Giants to an 0-4 start.
There's definitely a good amount of teams the New York Giants could beat right now, but Tampa Bay isn't one of them. I think, especially Tampa being at home, the Giants haven't found ways to fix that offensive line. They basically went to short, quick throws to try to make plays against the Philadelphia Eagles, which was working. But you got to use your running backs to help on the blocking game. Use your tight end, which you drafted a tight end that's strictly a receiver, clearly, and. For the New York Giants, they haven't found solutions to their offensive line problems. And if they continue not to find problems, you're going to watch their head coach get fired, on top of the fact that they're not going to win a lot of games this year. And I think Tampa wins easy.
San Francisco 0-3 at Arizona 1-1. We'll see what happens with their record after tonight. San Francisco is rebuilding. They looked good.
I don't even
Thursday
care what
night.
Arizona shows tonight against the Dallas Cowboys. They could put up 40 points. I think San Fran picks up their first win this year. I think Carson Palmer has just been a question mark all year. He'll be a question mark tonight against Dallas. I think this is an easy win, actually, for San Fran on the road.
I picked Arizona. Oakland 2-1 at Denver. Oakland looked bad Sunday night in all the facets of the game. O-line, D-line made Kirk Cousins look like Joe Montana. I think Oakland gets to Simeon and get it all together on Sunday and pick up the W.
Well, we're disagreeing a lot. I think Denver just had a slow drop-back game. Like I said, Buffalo was a tough play to play. They took a really bad penalty late that put that game out of reach. But, Denver's a great team. They're playing unbelievable. Their defense is too good. I think the receivers of Amari Cooper and Crabtree, who are having hard times with drops on their own, have no confidence right now. I think the Denver Broncos have no problem with the Oakland Raiders this week. Zero problem.
Sunday Night Football, Indy at Seattle. My God, this is a bad game for Sunday night. Seattle wins this one, but it won't be a blowout. It'll be a close one, but Seahawks win at home.
It sounds crazy, but I'm going to go with a crazy upset. I think the Seahawks drop a game to the Indianapolis Colts.
I would have picked the Indianapolis Colts if Seattle wasn't home.
I absolutely understand.
Monday Night Football, Washington
crazy upset.
At Kansas City. Washington looked really good on Sunday night. Kirk Cousins had his best game of his career, in my eyes. But that changes this week. Kareem Hunt and Alex Smith take it to the Redskins, and Chiefs win at home.
Yeah, I think that Kansas City could just easily run the ball better than Washington will be able to do, and that's going to win this game.
All right, and now we're going to get into a quick lineup for your fantasy leagues. At quarterback, I have Matt Stafford, 6,000, going up against that Minnesota defense. Who do you got?
Between you and me, I legitimately didn't think that Stafford was a good pick here. I think the Minnesota defense is going to be very, very tough to play against. There's a lot of much better matchups. Me particularly, I've always been a fan of, strictly going cheap on quarterback. And one quarterback I really could see having a good week this week could be somebody like Deshaun Watson.
Running back, I have Dalvin Cook, 6,500 against Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do you got?
For running back this week, Dalvin Cook against Detroit is a great matchup. I definitely don't disagree whatsoever. For me, it's going to be Ty Montgomery. I think Green Bay's winning a lot in this game. I think they utilize Ty Montgomery on a lot of runs in this game. I think he's due to almost guaranteed to have a good week.
My other running back, I have Leonard Fournette, 6,700 against the Jets.
6,700.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's pretty cheap.
That's a
great matchup for the.
That's what I said. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I think I can agree with you there as a second running back. I think Leonard Fournette. I think Jacksonville's got the lead a lot in this game, and they're able to command.
Wide receivers. I'm going to just give you all three of my wide receivers. Alshon Jeffrey, 6,200 against Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not right. They're not playing Minnesota. Who's the Eagles playing?
The Eagles are playing
the Chargers. Yeah. Alshon Jeffrey against the Chargers, 6,200. I like that. Dez Bryant, 6,500 against the Rams. And Deshaun Watson, 5,200 against the Giants.
I mean, when it comes to wide receivers, I try to look at teams that are going to be losing games and therefore needing to throw it a lot. And the number one team I see right here will be Stephon Diggs. I think Detroit can come out to an early lead. I think Minnesota's going to need to utilize him. Another one I like too is Emmanuel Sanders. He's going for only 6,100. That's an Oakland game. That should be a game that's going back and forth all day.
Yeah.
And then also, Tyreek Hill. I mean, you can't go wrong with Tyreek Hill. I think the Washington Redskins, again, might be able to put some points up on the Kansas City Chiefs, but again, it's just going to be a back and forth. I try to get guys in that game.
My tight end, Eric Ebron, against the Minnesota Vikings, just because he's low in price, 3,100. I went with him.
No, absolutely. That's a cheaper option there. I'm going to go with the guy trying to have back-to-back weeks. I'm going to go with Mercedes Lewis. Try to go extra.
Flex, I went with Chris Hogan, 6,000 against the Houston Texans, and my defense, I went with Jaguars against the Jets.
My flex this week will actually be someone that you can get for relatively cheap, but it's a little bit of a risk. And it's basically Gillislee. I think I know the Carolina defense has been very good, but I think that's a game where New England could be winning a lot, and it's just a safe play to get some touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think what did he have? Nothing last week, right?
Yeah. Well,
I think he bounces back.
Gillislee, yeah.
Yeah, I think he bounces back this week.
All right. Well, that will do it for running up the score.
Defense.
I said Jaguars.
Oh, you didn't give me a chance, Jaguars.
Well, why didn't you?
Jaguars defense against the New York Jets. I don't give a shit if they're on the road. He's probably not curse at the end of the show, right?
And he curses at the end of the show.
Oh, man. It's how bad I hate the Jets.
Gosh.
That's what the Jets do to me. See?
And we just got a quick comment. You want to answer this comment? We got it on Periscope.
What do we got?
Boycott the NFL.
Boycott the NFL.
That's what he said.
I understand.
I don't know. He obviously didn't watch this past week in football because this was an unbelievable week in football.
No, but at the same time, he sees the factor of what's going on with the national anthem. And like I said, man, there are different ways to go about it. And I think the NFL is going to need to learn those different ways. And it's going to be a big problem. The ratings are definitely going to be down. It ain't going to be by me.
It's actually
they will be down.
It's actually going to be up this week. It's low right now. Like it's right at the border. But now this Cowboys-Cardinals game is going to put them over.
Wow.
So that will do it for running up the score. Thank you to our sponsor, Yellfy Sports App. You can download the app from the iTunes App Store by searching Yellfy. It's spelled Yellfy. Make sure to follow me at Jerry RUTS Sports, Tom at Tom RUTS Sports, and Kevin at Kevin RUTS Sports. We'll shoot you a follow back. It's a great app. That will do it. Thank you for joining us today. We will be back next Monday talking sports. Once again, as I said, that will do it. I'm Jerry.
I'm Kevin.
Be easy.
Be breezy.
And it is all over!
You've been listening to Running Up the Score.
We run up the score on Sports Radio.